The rain had been falling since morning, turning the narrow streets into long mirrors of grey water. People rushed past with heads down, chasing their own lives. No one noticed the two small girls sitting near the closed bakery, wrapped in thin worn sweaters. Their shoes were torn, their hair tangled, but they sat quietly holding each other, as if silence could protect them. The taller twin kept her arm around the smaller one, her eyes sharp alert, watching every stranger who passed. The smaller girl leaned into her sister, her stomach aching with hunger, but she did not complain. She had learned long ago that complaints only made things worse. Across the street, a woman paced back and forth, her heels clicked angrily against the wet pavement. She kept glancing at the twins with clear irritation, as if they were unwanted baggage. Her lips moved constantly, muttering about bad luck and ruined plans. This woman was their stepmother, the only guardian they had known since their real mother disappeared years ago. She had once pretended to care, but that care faded as money became tight and patience thinner. The girls were never allowed to forget that they were a burden. That afternoon, the woman had made a decision. She would not take them back home. There was no home anymore, at least not for Thema. Black luxury car slowly rolled to a stop nearby. Its polished surface looked strange against the broken streetlights and cracked road. The driver stepped out, first opening the door for the man inside. Of man was young, tall, dressed in a dark coat, his face calm but distant. This was Alexander Gray, a self-made billionaire known for his intelligence, discipline, and emotional distance. He owned companies across continents, but had no family, no warmth in his large empty mansion. Alexander had not planned to stop here. His driver had taken a wrong turn, and the traffic forced them to slow down. That was when Alexander saw the twin. Something about them pulled at him like an invisible hand. He could not explain it. He simply asked the driver to stop, stepped out into the rain, ignoring the surprised look from his driver, and walked closer. The twins noticed him immediately. The taller one instinctively moved slightly in front of her sister's woman noticed him too, and quickly rushed forward, forcing a strained smile. "Seer," she said, clearly seeing his wealth, "you look like someone who understands value." Alexander looked past her at the girls sitting silently on the cold ground. "How old are they?" he asked. "It's even." The woman replied quickly, "Twins, too much trouble, honestly. We are they sitting here?" Alexander asked, his voice calm but firm. Woman sighed dramatically, pretending to wipe away a tear. "I can't take care of them anymore. Their father is dead, their real mother gone. I have done enough." Twins stayed quiet. The smaller one clutched her sister's sleeve. Titra Alexander knelt down to their level. "What are your names?" he asked. Gentle-eyed, taller girl hesitated, then spoke. "My name is Emma. This is my sister, Ella." Alexander felt a strange tightness in his chest. He nodded. "Live." Woman cleared her throat impatiently. "Sir, if you want to help, you can take them off my hands. Children cost money." Alexander stood up slowly and looked directly at her. "What do you mean?" She lowered her voice. "Money will solve this problem." People passing by slowed, sensing something wrong, but no one interfered. "How much?" Alexander asked the words, surprising even himself. Woman's eyes lit up. 50,000. Both of them twins looked up, fear spreading across their faces. Emma shook her head slightly, but did not speak. Alexander did not negotiate. He made a call within minutes. The transaction was done. The woman grabbed the money quickly, her hands shaking with excitement, and without another word she turned and disappeared into the Renima, and Ella remained frozen, unsure what would happen next. "You're safe," Alexander said quietly. "In not going to hurt you." Must studied his face, searching for lies, then nodded. Slowly took off his coat and wrapped it around them, guiding them gently toward the cart. Driver looked shocked but said nothing as Alexander helped the girls inside. As the car drove away, Ella whispered, "Are we being taken somewhere bad?" Alexander turned to her and shook his head. "No, you're going somewhere warm." Mansion stood silent, as always, lights turning on. As they arrived, staff hurried out, confused by the unexpected guests. Alexa ordered food and dry clothes. Doctors were called, though the girls insisted they were fine. While they ate, Alexander watched them closely. The way Emma broke her bread in half to give the larger piece to Ella. The way Ella looked to her sister before every bite. Later, as a nurse helped change their clothes, Alexander noticed something that made his heart stop. On Ella's shoulder was a small birthmark, shaped like a crescent moon. His vision blurred for a moment. Memories crashed into him like a storm. Years ago, his wife had been pregnant with twins. She had died in an accident, or so he had been told. The babies were said to be lost, as well had believed it, because the pain was too heavy to question. That night, Alexander sat alone, staring at old photographs, hands trembling, doubt growing louder in his mind. Down the hall, Emma and Ella lay in a soft bed for the first time in years. Unable to sleep, Emma whispered, "Do you think he will keep you?" Ella turned toward her sister, her eyes hopeful. "I think he is." Gudima hugged her. Tightly, she had promised herself long ago to protect her sister no matter what, even if that meant trusting a stranger back in his study. Alexander made a decision that would change all their lives. He would uncover the truth, no matter how painful. It might be outside. The rain finally stopped, but inside the mansion, three lost souls stood unknowingly on the edge of a truth that would shatter the past. Morning light entered the mansion, softly touching the tall curtains and polished floors. Emma woke first, her eyes opened wide, as she realized she was still in the same warm bed. For a moment she thought it was a dream, but then she heard Ella breathing beside her, slow and peaceful. Emma sat up carefully, looking around the room. Everything felt unreal: the clean white walls, the soft blankets, the silence that did not feel dangerous. She gently shook Ella Owakila, opened her eyes and smiled weakly. "We are still here," she whispered. Emma nodded, her heart pounding. A knock came at the door. Both girls froze. Then the door opened. Slowly Alexander stood there, holding a tray with breakfast. He looked nervous, unsure, like someone afraid of breaking something fragile. "Good morning," he said softly. Ella sat up immediately. Emma instinctively moved closer to Harry. "Brought food," Alexander said, setting the tray down. "You don't have to hurry." Girls stared at the food: fresh bread, eggs, fruit, juice, things they had not seen in a long time. Nulla whispered, "Thank you." Alexander nodded and stepped back, giving them space as they ate. He watched quietly, noticing how they still saved bites for later. Habits formed from years of hunger. After breakfast, doctors returned, drawing blood samples. Alexander explained gently, "It's just to make sure you are healthy." Emma watched his face closely, as if memorizing every expression. Something inside her felt strangely familiar, though she could not explain if results would take time. Alexander knew that waiting was dangerous for his heart, but he could not stop. No, while waiting, he decided to spend the day with them. He took them to the garden where sunlight warmed the grass. Ella laughed softly when she saw butterflies. Emma smiled for the first time. Without further, played quietly. Alexander awkward at first, then slowly relaxing. As the girls began to trust him, Emma asked, "Why do you live alone?" Alexander paused, then answered, "Because I lost my family a long time ago." Ella looked at him seriously. "Did it hurt?" Alexander swallowed. "Yes." Very. Michaela walked over and placed her small hand on his. He felt his chest tighten in a way he had never felt before. That evening, Alexander received a call from his private investigator. Information had started to surface: names, old hospital records, falsified death certificates. A woman connected to his late wife's family. Hands shook as he listened. The pieces were coming together. Went to the twins' room that night and sat beside them as they slept. He noticed how similar their faces were to his own reflection, how the curve of Ella's eyelashes mirrored his wife's whispered words they could not hear. "I'm sorry, I didn't find you sooner." Next day, the DNA results. Ervid match. Alexander stared at the report, unable to breathe. Tears fell freely. For the first time in years, he dropped to his knees, the weight of truth crushing and healing him at the same. Timothy, were his daughters alive? Stolen, hidden soul replayed in his mind. The funeral, the closed coffins, the lies he had been fed. The anger rose, but love was stronger. Her wiped his face and went to the girl. Emma noticed his red eyes immediately. "Something happened," she said quietly. Alexander knelt in front of them, his voice shaking. Ella, there is something very important I need to tell you." Ella clutched Emma's hand. "I am your father," he said slowly. "I've always been your father." Silence filled the room. Ella blinked, confused, then tears formed. Emma stayed still, her face unreadably. "You're lying," Emma said finally. "Adults, always." Alexander shook his head, holding out the report. "This is proof. I never stopped loving you. I just didn't know where you were." Emma read nothing but looked into his eyes, searching deep. Then something inside her broke. She cried silently. Years of fear, pain, and responsibility falling. Awajela ran into Alexander's arms. Sobbing, he held her tightly. Then Emma joined them, slowly wrapping her arms around him. "Wanted someone to find us," Emma whispered. Alexander held them both. "I looked for you every day, even when I thought you were gone." Justice moved fast. The stepmother was arrested, along with the woman who had stolen the twins years ago. The truth shocked everyone. Headlines spread, but Alexander shielded the girls from it. All weeks passed. The mansion transformed. Laughter replaced silence. Drawings covered the wall. Emma started school, slowly learning how to be a child instead of a guardian. Ella learned to play piano, filling the halls with gentle musicianry. Night. Alexander tucked them in, never missing a single. "Anyone night?" Ella asked. "Will you?" Alexander smiled softly. Never. Emma watched him closely, then nodded, satisfied. Billionaire, who once owned everything, finally found what money could never buy: his family. And the twins, who were once unwanted, were now the most precious treasure in his world.